And, of course, the sounder says, please pay attention. I'm Stan Yusa. This is the Monday evening edition of Interesting Ideas. We trust that your week got off to a better than average start. Remember, the Interesting Idea program, the whole process is to help you so that you'll have a better Monday because, first of all, you will be different. Perhaps you'll even be unique, and you'll be better. So being different, being unique, and being better is one of the good things you have to do to be successful in business and maybe even to be more influential and expansive in life itself. Just let that sit on your head for a while as you go through the rest of the program with us. Again, it's Monday after Mother's Day. And that's always an interesting celebration, and you learn some interesting things. First of all, there were wonderful stories about wonderful mothers. However, I always caution people about a Mother's Day wish. Remember, many of us have wonderful, wonderful thoughts about Mother. But let's also be aware of the fact that for some people, Mother's Day is not a celebration because they did not have a good experience with a mother. And that is especially true coming up to Father's Day. So we always take the Mother's Day and Father's Day celebration in hand and we enjoy it. But we also, if we're clever and smart and considerate, will remember that for some people, that life was not always good in their family, and perhaps mother or father is not necessarily a great memory for many people. Sorry about that, but that's the way it is, and since we are unique and different people, we'll remember that when we have friends and relationships that we come across. Just a little note to expand your awareness and your influence. Also, I was reminded in a Jordan Peterson talk that came out just a couple weeks ago that he agrees with me. Well, I don't know that he does, but we agreed on something, and that is, he says, most people want people to pay attention to them. In fact, a lot of people, that's the reason they act up or act out or do things, is they want somebody, not necessarily to like them, but to pay attention to them. Well, that's something to remember. And of course, that's what we're doing when we do the sounder, is I'm saying, don't just pay attention to me, but please pay attention to what we're going to do. And you know what? I'll try and be very present and pay attention to you too. So, another second lesson. Please pay attention, and please remember, everybody is wearing a secret sign which says, please tell me I'm important. That's right, everybody. You don't see the sign. Most people don't wear it. I have worn it at a few speaking engagements sometime because that's what I was talking about. Please tell me I'm important. Please tell me that I matter. Please give me some attention. And that's a universal characteristic. And Jordan Peterson was talking about something similar, particularly when we're dealing with conflict, is that people want oftentimes, in the midst of a conflict, that they just want to know that somebody is listening to them, paying attention to them. So don't interrupt them. All that good stuff that most of us need reminding from time to time. Well, here we go. Remember now, that's just kind of the setup. The program is Interesting Ideas, and today I'm going to start a little bit of a talk through the week on what I call expanding your influence and what that can be. How do you expand yourself? And in which ways should you expand yourself? And we have some personal and perhaps some professional and business ideas that might flow out of that. So if you'll just give me a few more minutes, maybe 5 or 6 or 7, I will try and help you with some interesting ideas. The program begins right now. A number of years ago, there was a book came out, and it was primarily for people of a religious faith, primarily Christian, though since it came from the Hebrew Scriptures, it could easily be for those people who have Jewish traditions in them. And it was written by a gentleman who was very much not only a man of faith, but he was a bit of a motivational speaker. Now, sometimes when you put those two together, you might not get the best combination, but many times you have a great combination. And he wrote a book called The Prayer of Jabez. Now, some of you may have heard of the book. Some of you may even have the book or bought the book. But it's still around, and it was a world-class bestseller. Just again, a small book, very smart, small book. You can read it in a day. And here was the theme of the book. There's an ancient prayer that one of the unknown characters in the Hebrew Scripture says, and one of the words is, expand my territory. Expand my territory. And of course, then there were all kinds, that's what the book was about. How do you do that? How can you expand your territory? Since that was the prayer, now let's figure out how to make the prayer come true. Now, the book was controversial for a variety of reasons. And in some way, it actually goes along with what my editor told me about my book that I talked about last week. Stan, you don't want people to like your book. You want them to hate it or love it. Well, that was very true. Most people who read the book or familiar with it, they had an emotional opinion about it. There were some people who just didn't like it. They thought that was wrong. That was all kinds of things. And there were people who said yes, and that became kind of their motivation for their life and business. Yes, we are called by God to expand our territory, and that will mean things will go well with us, because the more territory we have, the richer we'll be, and maybe the more influence we'll have, and all the good things that most people think they want. Expand your territory. Well, I'm just using that to talk about that E word, expand. Now, here's a little bit of the Monday morning get ready. Here you are now. By the way, here was another interesting idea that just hit me across. I wasn't expecting it, but it was a guy who made all of his billions of dollars by franchising. He didn't have an original business idea in him. He'll be honest. What he did is he learned how to get a franchise and expand it. And I think he has over 2,000 franchises. And so he's a multi-billionaire. Just a very ordinary bloke by his own description, to kind of use the British expression, just an ordinary big tattooed guy. And that's what he did. And he had a unique idea, which I'm going to work on with myself. And he said, no matter what your business is, think about how you might franchise it someday. In fact, begin your business with the idea that you will franchise it in some way. Just start that way, because that will cause you to think differently about this new, wonderful, unique, and different and original, the only you can do it business that you're building. Think of a way that it could be franchised. Okay. I'd love to hear your response to that. Okay, let's take just a few minutes for you to think about that. I'll take a little break here and sip a cup of coffee and get ready, because I've got a lot to do yet before I go to bed this evening. And you think about that, and we'll be right back with kind of a closing Monday challenge. Okay, what do you think about that? How could you start your own business? And what would that business be? And then what do you think of the idea of always seeing if you could franchise it? Well, let's begin to think differently by saying, okay, it's not just about expanding your territory or expanding the number of locations of your business. Here's what I want you to think about, and this doesn't have to be controversial. What are some of the ideas, human characteristics, personal strengths, things that you would like about you to be expanded? Now, there are certain things you know that you're trying to get rid of. You've got some bad habits, and you're trying to reduce those. You've got some things you want to get better at, and you know that, hey, you don't want the bad part of that to be expanded. You're trying to expand the parts of you that are good, and good for you, and good for others, and beneficial. And so if you were kind of a prayer person and you wouldn't say expand my territory, what would you want to expand about you? Please think about that, because on Interesting Ideas this week, we're going to take these things we've talked about today, and perhaps we're going to see if we can find a way to come up with things we need to expand, and how should we do that. Things in our business, things in our life, things in our personality, things about us. Remember, we're different, we're unique, and we want to be better. What do we need to expand about our life today? There we go. Just 12 minutes. And hopefully it's been helpful for you. Hey, it's going to be tough this week. There's a lot of tough things going on. And unfortunately, it seems like we have to say that every week. The price of gasoline continues to go up. The inflation, there's no end in sight. There is the fear that Putin will use this May 9th day, which is a celebration of the Russian victory over the Nazis in World War II, what was called Victory in Europe Day, that he will use that as a way of expanding his power and his war, and he will try, unfortunately, to expand the war in Ukraine so he can expand his territory. So this is a week for those of us who pray, to pray profoundly about the things that matter in our life, and perhaps not only to do that, but to see if we can do something for ourselves and for other people that will make this week a little bit better for ourselves and for somebody else. And I already have 2 or 3 things that I'm going to work on to help some people I know have a better life and a better business and perhaps a better week this week. And maybe you have some people like that too. I'm Stan Houston. I thank you. Please reach out to me because I can help you in a variety of ways. StanHouston@gmail.com. StanHouston@gmail.com. If you want to know about podcasting, that's what we're going to help you do. Expand your influence. WITradio.net. WIT, W-I-T, WITradio.net. And I hope you'll join me tomorrow. Best and blessings. That's right, best and blessings. May you rest well. May you get a good 7 hours of good sleep, because that will be good for you. Eat a bigger breakfast, and then be ready to make Tuesday more than a trivia day. Make Tuesday not a trivia day. Make it terrific. Make it vital. Best again to you. Interesting ideas comes your way every day. I hope that you'll come back tomorrow. Bye for now.